We are seeing this incredible increase of people who believe that just because they can speak and they have access to a platform that they are a speaker. And in actual point of fact, nothing can be further from the truth. Because whilst we have all of these new distribution channels, the art and craft of speaking comes down to being able to hold the skills of persuasion and influence. And that is a skills build. It doesn't matter how captivating you are in Reels, on LinkedIn, Facebook Lives, TikTok, short form grabs. That doesn't make you a great speaker. A great speaker is somebody who's able to captivate, to hold, and to convert attention. Welcome back to Speaker Driven Podcast. We're hitting episode 11 and we're in the final few episodes of really speaking into the foundational thinking behind what it takes to become great at speaking. I promise in the next few episodes, we'll start to change gears and we'll actually start teaching you what we know to be true about the world of speaking so that you can really elevate and lift your own speaking and communication skills and positioning. It's really interesting at the moment with this proliferation we have with TikTok and Reels and Facebook Lives and LinkedIn Lives and, podcasting and video and YouTube and, the YouTube Shorts being added to it. It's kind of like most of our marketing now is to do with speaking in some way, shape or form. And everybody talks about the things that I just rattled off as being new marketing. Social and digital is new marketing. And the truth is, that it isn't new marketing. They are absolutely part of this proliferation of new distribution channels we have to reach markets, to get to markets. But the thing that is actually becoming really prevalent is because we now have this incredible low barrier of access to platforms and incredible low barrier access to networking groups and connection and meetup and things like that in the real world, as well as our digital and social platforms. We are seeing this incredible increase of people who believe that just because they can speak and they have access to a platform that they are a speaker. And in actual point of fact, nothing can be further from the truth. Because whilst we have all of these new distribution channels, the art and craft of speaking comes down to being able to hold the skills of persuasion and influence. And that is a skills build. It doesn't matter how captivating you are in Reels, on LinkedIn, Facebook Lives, TikTok, short form grabs. That doesn't make you a great speaker. A great speaker is somebody who's able to captivate, to hold, and to convert attention. It is something that is dependent on you actually building the skills of speaking. So many people that I meet don't believe that they're in demand enough for their speaking driven content as a keynote speaker, as a subject matter expert, as a business builder in a charity. Most people I meet, no matter what level they are, believe that there is a next level of being in demand. And the truth is that a lot of people will say it's a dead market. Now, I come from a sales and consulting background, and what I can tell you about when we start to say it's the market is that we're actually blaming an external lie. Because the truth is it's not the market, it's you. If you are not in demand, it's you. It could be your message. It could be your content. It could be a market mismatch. It could be that you actually don't know what you're doing. It could be that your message is not landing well enough. Whatever it is, though, it's you. And the beauty of this is that because it's down to you, you can also change your level of demand. But these are the things that people are not telling you about being in demand when they're promising you the world through the power of your spoken content. And I'm going to rattle through 9 key elements. This is something I could speak on forever, but let's just bring it in tight and go through a few things that we can cover off in this next 12 to 15 minutes together. Number 1 is that you must be a passionate expert on a specific topic. Great speakers appear in our world at the collision of passion, which drives enthusiasm, and curiosity and expertise, where they have developed deep knowledge or experience in a specific topic. And that applies whether it's lived or worked experience or a combination of the two that you're bringing to the table. So that's number 1. The second thing that you need to know about creating demand for your speaking is ensure you are bringing something to the table of value. Time and time again, we are all turning up in rooms, and I know that you're going to be agreeing with me here, but we're all turning up in rooms or listening via social to people who have nailed the first one, the passion, but have yet to discover how to make that valuable to an audience, right? Engage, inspire, and motivate. Yes, that's important, but give them something they can take away and use straight away, even if it's just a new perspective. So that's number 2. Ensure you're bringing something to the table of value. Number 3 is understanding that time does not equal value. It's really interesting having, I remember several years ago having heard a really impressive keynote speaker who I turned up to hear speak 3 or 4 different times at different events simply because I knew he was a keynote speaker. He was actually speaking as the closing keynote at a conference in my area, and I made a last-minute decision to buy a conference ticket, not because I had any interest in the conference, but I was so obsessed with his ability to deliver. When I got to the conference and looked at the program, he was the closing keynote speaker, which was amazing. But when I looked a bit closer at the detail, he actually only had 7 minutes. And I was like, what? And I was so disappointed. I invested really heavily in this conference and he was going to speak for 7 minutes. I was so disappointed. I was still curious enough though, and obsessed enough, I must admit, with his skill that I decided to see it through. What I learned that day is the single most valuable lesson that I can pass on to you. And that is that he didn't need 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or 60 minutes. He used that 7 minutes he was given and he brought it home. He was able to, in just 7 minutes, shift the room, lift the energy, and change the game. So my greatest advice to you is stop ramming, bring it in tight, and deliver it with a bang, and you are always going to be in demand. Interesting side note, I also happen to know that he was paid full fee for that 7 minutes. It's not about how long it takes you, it's about how well you do it. The 4th thing that they're not telling you is that you must love, honor, and respect your audience. Now, I'm assuming if you're in my world, you are naturally driven to be in service, but it's really important. If I hear one more person tell me how they simply wing it, how they just show up, how everything comes to, and I'll have to be held back from wringing their neck. We've already heard my point of view about just winging it, but you need to love your audience enough to ensure you're bringing something to the table. Honor the fact that they're giving you their time and their attention, which is actually one of their most valuable commodities to give you, and respect them enough to prepare, to practice, and to make an impact for them. So love, honor, and respect your audience is number 4. The 5th thing I want you to know is a side note to number 4, and that's your inside voice, which is right now saying, or maybe because I'm not in your space, it's your outside voice, is saying, but Jacqueline, you don't know me. I do really well. I don't need to prep. I'm a natural. Then my challenge to you, and I've said it over and over again, if you're listening to all of these podcast episodes in a row, it might be sounding repetitive. That's great. But how much greater impact could you have if you truly did love, honor, and respect your audience and prepared accordingly? I bet you that no matter where your game is right now, it will go to the next level and you'll actually go from people liking what you say to being in demand for what you have to say. Number 6 is a second side note to number 5, which is a side note to number 4. Point 5, right, is much easier when you shift your lens, when you remember it's not about you. It's not about how smart you are, how passionate you are. It's not about how much you know, and it's everything about the impact for the people listening to you. Put your audience in the center of everything you do and then ask yourself, am I doing everything for them to love, honor, and respect their time and their attention? Number 7 is build an arsenal. And what I mean by this is the core messaging for a great speaker is around the specific topic that they're an expert on. So if you are speaking on something, your core messaging will absolutely be that. But great speakers also layer that up with stories and anecdotes, metaphors and questions and experience to be able to continually evolve how they engage with you and the gift that they leave with you as an audience member. So this is really, really important for you to think about. Build an arsenal, build those stories, build those micro moments, build those quotes, those anecdotes, those metaphors, build them continually to evolve your content, to get more richness and deepness into it. But have an arsenal of stories, an arsenal of experience, an arsenal of things that you can bring to the table to keep your audience members engaged. Number 8, and this is the one that is really hard for people to understand, especially if you are an emerging speaker. You are your own promoter, hustler, and closer. There is a strategy and a build to becoming a great speaker, And the key is to unlock it. No one will market to you better than you do. No one will promote to you better than you do. No one can hustle for you the way that you will. And if you don't know how to close a sale, then you must learn. You have to learn how to close a sale, because even at the top of the speaking circuit, speaker bureaus, other people and agents will never drive the majority of your business, even if you're a professional speaker, until you get to celebrity status. So it's really, really important that you understand that you do have to be your own promoter, hustler, and closer, especially if you're at the start of your career, to get things moving. You cannot sidestep this. So many times I've been on sales calls with people and they say, well, can you just like find me my gigs? Number one, it's a speaker bureau. Number two, if you're not prepared to actually promote, hustle, and close yourself, even if you get to a situation where you don't have to do it, then you are never going to build a sustainable speaking business, right? Super, super important. You cannot build a sustainable speaker-driven business if you're not prepared to do this, right? And you can outsource and you can build teams, and I get that, but you have to do it to start with. And number 9 is you must practice the craft. Speaking and the science of being a great speaker and being in demand for what you bring to the table as a speaker, it's a craft. It's a build. You have to build, create, delve, practice, tweak, feedback, go back to the table, continually strive to improve your craft, your content, everything goes with it. You want to be paid well, then do well. Like there's a thing that I say to people all the time: to get the work, you have to do the work. To get the work, you have to do the work. To get the work, you have to do the work. And I know I'm on repeat right now, but it's so incredibly important. You have to build your muscle. Now, if those things are not things that we've just outlined, so number 1, be a passionate expert on a specific topic. Ensure you're bringing something to the table of value. Time does not equal value. Love, honor, and respect your audience. Build an arsenal. Be your own promoter, hustler, and closer, and be willing to practice the craft. If any of those are things that you don't really want to do, then you really need to think about whether a speaking-driven strategy is the right one for you.